Assalamualaikum and a very good day. Hi, my name is Alisha Effendi and this is my reflection for the subject Interprofessional Education Communication Skills, also known as PEC203. Over the past few weeks, this course has really helped me understand just how essential communication is, not just in healthcare, but also in any professional setting. Through a variety of fun, challenging, and sometimes even frustrating activities, I learned to be more aware of how I communicate, how I receive messages, and how I can improve to become a better team member or a future healthcare provider. So, without further ado, let me go through the activities we did week by week. In week 2, Group 4 introduced us to effective communication skills through a really creative and fast-paced game that combined bingo charades and also broken telephone, but with a healthcare twist. We were divided into lines, each group facing forward. The first person in line received a medical word, usually something related to equipment or diagnosis. So without using any words, they had to act it out to the next person in line, and so on. The last person in line had to identify what word was being acted out and then find it on a bingo sheet. The challenging part was that the bingo sheets weren't just straightforward, they were jumbled, which made it even harder. Our group had to communicate without speaking and still get the message across as accurately as possible. The first team to cross off at least 3 lines won, which was our team. This activity really highlighted how powerful nonverbal communication can be, especially in situations where language is limited or verbal communication isn't possible, like in emergency with certain patients. Then came week 3, which focused on communication barrier tools and the types of communication in healthcare, led by Group 2. The gameplay here was much more controlled but just as challenging. One representative from the group had to guess a specific word, but everyone else could only respond with yes or no. That meant that the person guessing had to constantly rephrase their question, using alternative strategies and stay calm despite the limited feedback. This was tough because the natural urge is to give hints or explain, but that wasn't allowed. The frustration we felt in the game was a real-life example of how healthcare professionals often face communication barriers, whether it's languages differences or hearing impairments or cognitive barriers. It reminded me that being flexible and patient is just as important as speaking clearly. In week 4, Group 1 focused on communication barriers again, but this time through a medical charades, and we could only respond using emojis. So imagine trying to explain a complex medical term using only symbols. It was fun, but also very eye-opening. We had to rely on creativity, shared understanding, and a bit of intuition to get our messages across. What I learned from this activity is that even emojis or facial expressions, things we usually consider casual, can have a place in healthcare, especially when dealing with patients who can't speak or don't speak the same language. It also taught me to look beyond words and pay attention to other cues. Then came week 5, which was presented by my group, Group 3, and we presented the topic Decision-Making Skills in Healthcare. We came up with 2 games, Triage Showdown and also Crisis Commander. In Triage Showdown, each team was given a set of patient cases. The goal here was to sort out these cases into triage category, whether it be disease, critical, urgent, or non-urgent, based on symptoms and severity. It tested how fast and accurately we could make decisions under pressure, which is a realistic scenario in ER or disaster settings. In Crisis Commander, we took it a step further, where each group received a public health emergency case, or like a disease outbreak or a natural disaster. Team had to write out a full action plan covering immediate response, resource allocation, and also communication strategy. After planning, they had to present it in the form of a news broadcast, which was both informative and also creative. As a team member, I contributed by preparing the objectives and giving an overview of both games. I was also assigned as a facilitator of Group 1 and acted out as one of the judges for the presentations. Being on the other side, observing instead of playing, really gave me insight into how others communicate under stress. I paid attention to how teams delegated roles, how they spoke to one another, and how clear their presentation were. Looking back at the course as a whole, I would say that the main objective was to teach us how to communicate better in healthcare settings, especially in teams where different professionals work together. I believe that we definitely achieved that. Each week tested different skills: verbal, nonverbal, written, and emotional. I think that these activities were absolutely necessary. They weren't just fun games, they mimicked real life challenges, whether it was acting out without words, rephrasing questions under constraint, or presenting under pressure. Each activity pushed us to be more aware of how we speak, listen, and work as a team. Through these games, I learned that good communication isn't just about talking, it's about understanding, adapting, and connecting. I also realized that communication failures often come from assumptions or lack of clarity. And those small things can have big consequences, especially in healthcare. As for my contribution, I feel proud of the effort I put in. Especially during my group's week, I was involved in planning, facilitating, and evaluating. That said, I know that there's always room to grow, particularly in giving clear instructions and staying calm when things go chaotic. In the future, I know that I'll use these skills in many situations, whether I'm working in a hospital, giving patients update to family, or collaborating with team members during an emergency. I need to communicate clearly and professionally and also compassionately. This course gave me a strong foundation for that, and I'm really grateful for the experience. Thank you for listening to my reflection.